Intro. Want to get inside her mind and make her think about you non-stop? If she's pulling away, losing interest, or just not giving you the attention you deserve, don't panic. In this video, we're diving into 5 powerful dark psychology tricks that will make her miss you like crazy. These strategies tap into human psychology to create desire, curiosity, and emotional attachment. Watch till the end, because once you master these, she'll never see you the same way again. It's not about doing more to miss you, but genuinely doing less. Imagine this when you rush after her or act needy. If you keep pushing her away, it's time to become aware that ladies don't. No matter how difficult, give in to despair. Actually, the more you strive to please them, the more you drive her way, the more you pursue her. The startling reality is that the majority of guys, if you want her to, don't want to hear, "Stop doing what you think. I miss you. You should quit acting like her." A brilliant knight who is constantly at her beck and call, but you must learn something that appears paradoxical, the skill of nuance, and you may be asking how to exercise restraint. Does she really miss it when she pulls back? Well, that's what I'm going to disclose. This has nothing to do with playing games or playing the part of someone you're not. It's about comprehending the more profound attraction psychology when you make you are valuable while being rare. Create a void of desire. The secret is mastering the application of dark psychology to your benefit. But the reality is that women are missing you is more likely when they feel like you can't be there all the time. Programmed to pursue elusive sensations, and once you realize this, you won't ever be unaware of your relationships. In this video, we will dive once more into 5 effective actions you may do to make a lady yearn for you without giving the impression that you're trying too hard. These are nuanced tactics supported by psychology. It will cause her to think about you long after you've exited the space. So if you're sick of being the same old thing, the man who is always available yet is overlooked, prepare to alter your strategy for good, because after you put these into practice techniques, you'll develop into the type of man. One stop is all that women can think about. Give up being so available. Despite being so accessible, here is the harsh reality. Constant availability is fatal. Appeal when you're always available for. She responds to texts in a matter of seconds. Arranging a time to meet with her, or accepting everything that she asks if you're intentionally telling her, or unconsciously that you lack something better, use your time. And this is, women appreciate what they have to offer. Make money when you're too available, offering her everything in exchange for silver plate. And guess what? That's a dull thought. How frequently do individuals get fixated on it? Items that are difficult to obtain or scarce. Women don't change the instant they is aware that she needs all of your time and she no longer needs to work for attention. This has nothing to do with being impolite or disregarding her. The goal is to establish an equilibrium at which she begins to miss your presence rather than disregarding it. For, of course, most men get it here. They believe that being available demonstrates affection and commitment, and although that's accurate in actually, little amounts are going too far. The availability of backfires makes you. Being dependable and predictable makes you men who are uninteresting are quickly forgotten. The secret is to turn the "don't be the guy she can easily get along with," arrive at any time or location instead than forcing her to "I wonder what you're doing and where you are." Curiosity is where attraction lies. Begins to expand, for instance. Consider this. Later in the evening, she texts you to say she wants to talk to most males since she's bored. Would seize the chance to descend, whatever action they take to respond. But right away, you take a different route. You don't open the message not because you're playing games for a while, but because you're actually quite busy or devoted a couple hours to something else. Later, you respond nonchalantly with something, just saying, "I'm sorry. I got caught up." What occurs here first. You've discreetly demonstrated to her that your time isn't she is free to make demands any time she pleases. The wait allows her time to consider. You may be wondering why you didn't respond correctly. Aside your actions and the reasons behind them, not putting her boredom ahead of the little bit of mystery and life sows a seed in her brain, and she begins to miss the consideration you once gave. So, the secret is balance, so don't ghost. Or pretend to be aloof for the sake of it. That will just give you a childlike appearance. Instead, make things scarce and unavailable. Occasionally, not to discipline her, but to foster. Value in your presence and time when you choose carefully how and when you talk to her, and she'll begin to cherish each time she spends with you. Recall that this value was produced by limited supply. The less accessible you are, the she will cherish you more if you cease being the someone who only ever texts or calls away, turn into the man worth missing. Learn to use silence to your advantage. 2. Gain control over the power of quietness is one of the most underappreciated influences and attraction that most guys believe they must talk non-stop to justify themselves or have something to say at all times to maintain a woman who is intrigued. But the reality is, many people don't realize that silence may communicate. When you remain silent, your voice is louder than words. Make room for wonder, curiosity, and contemplation. It compels her to consider why you're silent, what you're doing, and what are you thinking about women. Attracted to males who don't disclose everything at once becomes quiet. Intrigue, which is among the most strong powers of attraction, such as most men make this error when something feels strange about their partnership or they feeling distant, they panic. Excessive communication. You convey assurance and command, which is very lovely. Let's take a look at this. Imagine her in motion, furious about something trivial, and begins tossing. Most men would accuse you of go straight to defense mode, attempting to correct or explain themselves the circumstance, but you take an alternative strategy rather than interacting. You retain your composure during the argument, make eye contact and remain silent, allowing her to vent while remaining calm and stoic. Depiction of what ultimately occurs next. She exhausts her energy, and your quiet produces a strong but uncomfortable pause. That pause causes her to consider herself. Actions rather than concentrating on the dispute, she begins to wonder what you believe. She grows more conscious of her behavior, and in your absence, uttering a single word, she is already doubting. Silence also does wonders for her, making you want something. Let's pretend you've had a wonderful talk with her, but instead of sending her a text right away or continuing the discussion indefinitely when you stop, you leave her with a lasting impression. But don't prolong your welcome by keeping the quiet free of regular updates or information that you provide. The opportunity for her to miss you is the key too. The goal of mastering silence is not about being passive or ignoring her. Being silent is the key to being aggressive. Using strategy to convey power, respect for oneself and feelings. Being mature and quiet also offers you authority in circumstances in which she anticipates a response. When you don't feel anything, you stand out and demonstrate your involvement in self-control, which puts you in excluding men who are incapable of managing their feelings. But the reality is that silence is not meaningless, but full with significance, and when utilized properly, it causes her to think of you, deeper than words could ever express. Be enigmatic and unpredictable. 3. Be enigmatic and unpredictable. Let's face it. When a lady is predictable, it's dull, is fully aware of what you will say, act or how you'll respond in each circumstance, And the reason she loses interest is there's no excitement or intrigue. Contest the reality that women are. They are drawn to mystery by nature. It's in their nature's desire to discover you and delve more thoroughly and to reveal the facets of who you are, but if you're completely transparent she won't feel compelled to retain it on day one. Being mysterious when reading doesn't imply being evasive or aloof in a manner that makes her feel insignificant. It's about not being able to totally foresee that you would keep her on her wondering what you're going to do next. The feeling of uncertainty is thrilling, causes her to consider you even when. For instance, think about when you're not present, the typical actions of males when they're curious about someone they lie. Discussing their schedule in detail, their emotions and plans without keeping anything from happening, and while being honest is better than overexposing oneself. Too soon can be fatal. However, the enigma of attraction keeping her interested, so she begins to wonder, why does he do it? And what is he thinking? What will he do next? That's the question. Energy that you wish to generate. Being unpredictable also entails breaking liberated from routine. If she is continuously aware of how you'll behave or what you'll do next will be when she feels at ease, but not change things up in a positive way. Perhaps you avoid texting her every morning. Plan an impromptu trip. That is entirely distinct from your regular gatherings, little adjustments like this. Let her know that you're not like. The problem is that everyone else is here. Being mysterious isn't about controlling others. It's about establishing a relationship in which she feels as though there's always more to discover. You women want to be interested, don't you? Wish to feel as though they've just touched surface when you just hold back enough that she will long for the times when you. Ultimately, letting her in fuels the mystery. Lust when she doesn't completely comprehend you or know what to anticipate. She keeps thinking about you. She will desire more of your time. Simply paying attention and being there since you've changed into someone she can't readily determine 4 points of attention on your personal put yourself first. Value people. This is a hard reality. Including women are attracted to people who respect themselves. When you concentrate too much on another person, continuously putting their needs first of your own, you begin to forget about your own value. And if you don't, how can you expect her to value yourself? Your emphasis on your own worth isn't about being conceited or self-centered. It's about being aware of what you contribute to the table and not making any concessions. For a man who understands, you are valuable. His worth radiates assurance, and confidence is really alluring. It's not only your appearance or possessions. Success depends on your ability to carry yourself, your speech patterns, and you demand respect just by being honest. Consider the men who appear to make women innately grateful for what distinguishes them is the capacity to concentrate on their own lives, objectives and interests that aren't continuously looking for approval, but they're occupied with construction anything significant, be it a profession, a side project, or their mental and bodily well-being, that their independence sets them apart. When you emphasize your own worth and send a strong message, you don't require her to. This does not imply that you are not whole. You have a life if you care about her, worth living apart from the partnership. And the paradox arises when she realizes that you don't depend on her too much. She'll begin to receive love or attention. Have it. This way of thinking also keeps you safe from excessive research. You're not served by SHS when you're not sure of your own worth, fearful of leaving situations where you're not receiving the respect that fortitude and resolve are attributes that inspire awe. Increasing your worth isn't something that you false. It's an investment that you make. Yourself, pick up new abilities and pursue your passions. Continue to work and be physically active on developing into your greatest self. When you're pleased with your identity, that it is impossible to overlook energy in the last strategy for making a lady miss you. You do this by turning into the type of man she cannot forget, which begins with acknowledging your own worth and leading a 5 steps in life that displays it. Quit being too forgiving and too ambitious. Excessively forgiving and persistent, let's confront a painful reality that many guys must. Overgiving is not a sign of affection, I've heard. Insecurity is evident when your beg is always going out of his way. Giving her a lot of love and attention, you're not being valuable by pursuing her. You're downplaying the fact that women don't fall. For men who behave as if their every word, they are attracted to men who rely on them. They don't feel the need because they realize their value. To repeatedly demonstrate it, the overgiving has the drawback of sending the incorrect message rather than expressing assurance and regard for yourself. You're basically saying, I don't think I'm sufficient for her, so I'll continue doing more to persuade you to stay. The way she acts doesn't make her. She takes you for granted because she misses you. Men, wake up and quit dumping all over the place, putting your efforts into returning the favor or demonstrating sincerity. If she doesn't meet you, thank you. It's not your responsibility to close the goal of gap connections is equilibrium, and when you give too much, you tip the scales. You disturb that equilibrium so severely that you end up, I'm exhausted and bitter. Here's the advice. Stand back and reassess your behaviors and consider why you feel. Why is it necessary to give so much? You believe she will go if you stop, if you're working out of that case. Fear-based behavior and fear rather than love simply increase the level of insecurity and disillusionment rather than excessive pursuit. Her follow your aspirations, interests, and personal development demonstrates to her that your life does not center on her and that you have the potential to be satisfied on this change in focus won't be your own. Not only enhance your beauty, but also allow her the chance to take the lead and remember to meet you at your level. Not a doormat, and begging is not necessary. For anyone to notice when you pause too forgiving and too interested in you recover your authority, and once you do your strength, you develop into the type of man she is compelled to honor and miss the sooner you recognize this, the sooner you'll quit squandering time on those who don't deserve it. Wake up now and begin putting yourself first in conclusion. Put an end to the trick of making any lady miss you. You're not making an effort to impress her by stepping aside and allowing her to, I miss you. Here's what contentious reality you don't create. Someone is always missing you, accessible by establishing a vacuum. They are unable to ignore when you concentrate on your personal development. Learn the power of quiet and stay erratic. You inherently turn into the type of man whose, think about it, ladies, it will be unforgettable. Don't gravitate toward what's simple or predictable. They want a challenge. Someone who keeps them interested and desire more, and when you accept these values, you're not merely altering how she notices that you're reinventing yourself. Value and respect for oneself. Let's bring this to its full. Have you ever tried any of these circle techniques? Or perhaps you've discovered yourself being the one who receives them. I would like to hear your tales. Please drop your comments on your experiences, and I'll personally reply. Let's get in touch and exchange ideas. But keep in mind that attraction isn't about becoming, about pursuing, and once you've mastered these techniques, you won't just cause her to miss you, but you'll also realizing what she had lost.